Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. So, I've spent a lot of time with the newly launched Arc Traders. I played in the earlier server slam test, I watched a ton of streamers during the first playtest, and I liked it a lot. That's why I've pre-purchased the game, and I've been playing since hour 1 of the official launch. And my overall impression is I like this game a lot. I really do, but the visuals are great, the map design is fantastic. Hmm. You heard the little bot sneaking up already, but where was I? So yeah, the map design is one of the best I've ever seen. It has good verticality and sense of scale that not a lot of games actually are able to convey. And the audio design is phenomenal. Also, I'm one of the people that actually likes slow TTK. I believe it makes more emphasis on battle tactics rather than aim, and so the game is right down my alley. The gunplay is solid and looks epic, but so what's wrong? So what's wrong? Coming back to that, but it's a big but. It's a huge but. So my plan initially was mainly to play solos, and it completely has fallen apart. Today, I want to talk about the solo experience in its current state and what I think needs to be improved. And let me be clear, the core of this game is great. I'm planning to keep playing, but because I see so much potential and because I like this game a lot, is the reason why I'm being critical about some aspects. I'm not sure that I'll be able to verbally weave everything into one story, but just keep in mind that everything I say and describe is somehow connected and leads to a frustrating experience. So the first point is that the map and PvE is not balanced for solos. It feels like the game has the same amount and same strength of PvE encounters whether you're in a trio or duo or solo. For trio and duo, dealing with that is manageable, I think. But for a solo, it's a massive resource and time drain. Sometimes you just can't avoid them as well. And some packs are impossible to fight with, and your only option is to run past or away from them, depending on your goal. Some areas do not let you, be stealthy. So yeah, if you run, a lot of times the AI is faster than you, and escaping isn't always possible either. And this is a problem that bleeds into the second one. So the AI power by itself is not the, core problem, or at least is not the whole point I'm trying to make here. So the second point is that the player density is relentless. In solo play especially, there's a lot of parties involved, and I think this is the biggest issue. In solos, it feels like a constant, non-stop deathmatch, and there's just no break. Every time you fight an Arc or another Raider, you basically are waving a red flag to the whole server and guarantee that you'll encounter at least 6 people on your way. Let me give you some examples from... you can see examples from our raids on the screen. And the main idea is that you kill 2 players in the same area, third guy shows up immediately, no resources left to fight him. You hadn't had any time to loot the first guys, and this scenario repeats itself game after game. Even if you're skilled enough to defeat 3 or 4 players in a row, you rarely have time to loot them before a 5th guy shows up. Or, arcs fly above you, and a lot of times you just leave loot on the ground. The server is constantly being filled, and the action just never lets up. The third point that also is connected to it is that people, even in solos, are able to crawl. And I understand it leads to some epic moments, like whenever you need to extract, but in solos, it just leads to frustration. When you down somebody, they can crawl away into a bush or corner or wherever while you're dealing with the next guy that showed up, that came to the gunshots, and by the time you've survived, you've dealt with all the arcs, you've dealt with all the third parties. The bodies are just impossible to find, and this makes your hard-earned victories feel pointless. So the fourth problem the game is facing is inventory management controls and clunky looting. This ties into the previous points. The game's pace is so fast that you need to do everything quickly, but the current control scheme and inventory system work against you. There are no keybinds for a lot of stuff, like there's no keybind, at least I haven't been able to find one for quick drop, and some other inventory management controls like splitting stacks is clunky as well. If you salvage something without inventory space, it will drop on the ground inconveniently and not just stay in the container you looted it from initially or salvaged it from initially, if you were interacting with a container. So these might seem like small things, but in high-stakes solo match where every second counts, they become massive frustrations. The fifth problem is over-encumbrance punishes success. Say you beat all the odds, you fought off multiple players, you've dealt with PvE, and now you're surrounded by loot. If you're good in stacking the loot, the reward is you become over-encumbered. Now you're slow, the raid timer is probably ending by now, and me, I just can't leave any of these behind. This junk is my baby now. I need to carry it through the arcs to the other side of the map. And it becomes risky, as you can just not be there in time in the first place, or you can encounter some arc that will, if you're over-encumbered, you'll just die. It's a death sentence to be over-encumbered in this game and encounter a boss mob. So yeah, it feels terrible to be punished for success and being good at different aspects of the game. And the last point I want to talk about is that I've mentioned that the game in the solo mode feels like a constant deathmatch, and well, it's not inherently bad, but what makes it bad is item durability. I've had a lot of raids where by the middle of it, I've had my shield fully broken. And it led to me dying because I got to the extraction, there was like an extraction camper, I was not able to repair my shield, I was in a huge disadvantage without the shield, I died, and it felt horrible. Okay, so what can be done? Here's my wish list for improvements. First, balance PvE for solo play. Reduce enemy density in open areas for solo sessions. And maybe reduce encounters with rocketeers especially, because they're, I would say, the most frequent cause of death for a single player. Second, adjust player spawns in solos. The player density needs to be toned down. Maybe implement a countdown on how quickly new players can spawn into the server after the elimination of a previous player. Or you need to implement some system that better decides on a new player spawn point, so that it's not as close to the other players. Third, fix the crawling or like looting in solos. A simple death marker on the map, like in Witcher games for people and arcs you killed, would solve the issue. Next, I would like to see a massive quality of life update, or at least add keybinds for stuff like quick drop, make drag and drop easier, make splitting stacks less clunky, streamline the looting process, like, as I mentioned, breaking down stuff, like salvaging, make it so that items that you break down stay in the container if you don't have space for them. Well, for the control scheme, you can just look at Tarkov and just copy that. Not that it's something special or complicated, but as any strategy, probably should just copy control scheme of StarCraft 2, you know. Tarkov is basically StarCraft 2 of the FPS genre nowadays. So yeah, just copy that. Next, I would like to increase item durability, at least shield durability. In a game mode where you're constantly fighting, your shield breaks down way too fast. Making them more durable will be critical for survival and just generally better experience for players. In conclusion, I want to say that despite all this, I still think Arc Raiders is a great game with a ton of potential. But because of these reasons I mentioned, the game is worse than I think it could be. I'm hopeful the developers will address some of these issues, but for now I'll be just probably sticking with duos and trios. Thanks for watching, and tell me what's your solo experience been like, what's your experience with the game in general, It's been like. Let me know in the comments below, and see you in the next one.